Hi ho, off to work we go. I'm actually not. It's pretty late, and that's why it's kind of dark. But we got a few of the dwarves coming back. We got Dwarf Mine coming back, and we're going to dive into Purple Steel, Amethyst Steel, Tempo for set 9. Break it down, talk about why are we playing certain cards? What are we going to do with other things? How does the format plan to go? Well, otherwise, you can also go in the description down below. There's a little link to a personal survey I put up. Just some general Lorcana questions. I want some community feedback, if you will. And if you don't want to do it, then don't. It's just that simple. And honestly, that's perfectly fine too. So without further ado, though, we're going to go ahead and jump on into Amethyst Steel right after I say don't forget the giveaway either. 6,000 subscribers. Anyway. So we got Diablo and Happy as our 1-drop cards, playing Diablo as a 4 of and Happy as a 3 of. Well, Happy has a couple uses in the deck. I already mentioned we're playing the 7 Dwarfs Mine, and in addition to that, during your turn, this character gains Evasive. So potentially a 2 swinging character with Evasive. The 1 willpower can kind of be iffy, so you don't necessarily just quest freely unless your opponent has a character that you're like, yeah, go ahead, trade into it, see what happens. I don't care. That's perfectly fine. That's the name of the deck. But we also have some other cards that we're going to be playing. Okay, I do have the right one in there. Hint, hint. Just showed you Lilo, where all of a sudden things like your Diablo, your Happy, your Cusco, you play a Lilo, you get really good value out of it. I think that Amber Seal aggro is going to be a menace, especially early on in the format. And I think that this deck is an incredible answer for that deck. I think this deck pairs up and answers that deck very well. I'm excited for it. I think that things are looking up, if you will, for Purple Steel. It's a deck that is absolutely a tier 1 contender. It can go fast. It can kind of play into that mid game. It can handle aggro. It can go under control. It really does have a lot of utility. And this is more of a mid version of it. So there's some flex spots on the top end that you can absolutely shave off if you want to speed the deck up any further. But I think the deck's got some decent gas in the early turns as is. So again, Diablo and Happy in your turn 1s. And then having Cusco in here as just another card that replaces itself once it's gone. And another thing about the Dwarven Mine, guys, it gets around Tiana. It's not a challenge. You move Happy or Doc there, you get to throw 2 damage at Tiana without having to worry about her ability. You do it before she's even exerted. Next turn, move another character there. All of a sudden, she's got 3 damage already. Now, something like your Cobra can take her out without even needing the 3 ink and slowing down the tempo and your board development and game state of where you're at. So Dwarf Mine just really, I think, puts in some work. And it's actually a point I didn't even bring up in the Amber Steel video, where I think Dwarf Mine helps a lot in the mirror match because of Tiana. Calhoun, though. Calhoun, again, you're good challenging card, good for on the draw. We already mentioned that we're playing Lilo, which means +2 on Calhoun means 5. Which Amber Steel card do you need 5 willpower to take out right off the rip? Rhino? Not a bad trade, especially because they probably shifted them at that point. So you can play Lilo, boost your Calhoun, take out a Rhino, and then go ahead and get 2 lore. So I think Calhoun absolutely is a 4 of. She's usually been like a 2 or a 3 of in this deck, but I think she earns her spot as a 4 of in the current format. Draw. This deck is actually one of those decks, kind of like Blurple, where draw isn't the biggest concern of it. You have Diablo, you have Cusco, you have Genie, you have Doc. Like, you have a lot of draw cards in here. And again, so we're playing Doc. It's Purple Steel, guys. At this point, you should pretty much know that Doc is a 4 of staple. Playing 3 Giant Cobras. He's a 4/4 body with the potential to get 2 lore. You can just play it as the body. You don't have to play it and get the 2 lore, especially in early games versus aggressive decks. That's probably usually the play. You play it for the body, not for the closing ability that you can with it. If you're trying to go faster, you're trying to win that way. We have Tinkerbell. We have Lawrence. Again, you have Genie. These are 3 cards that are very incredibly strong at going under control decks. While at the same time, Lawrence can pair up and do decent into aggressive matchups because he can go slam into something with 4 strength and then just becomes a 2 quester afterwards. Again, Lilo being able to give the +2 to every character you have. Pretty strong. So if you go like Diablo, Cusco, Lilo, now you're getting 2 really good trades and drawing cards at the end of it. You go like Diablo, Cusco, come back with Calhoun or Happy, things like that, and then Lilo. Again, you're getting really good trades on that. Could you play Stitch? Yes, you could play Stitch, but this deck isn't built around challenging, just like the Steel Song video and deck list I put up on Facebook. So many people were like, play Stitch with Lilo, challenge, do this. But again, the deck isn't built to be challenging. So kind of like this, I'm not focused on challenging. Challenging is something you can do, but it's not necessarily option numero uno. For Pete, we want to, again, this is kind of more of a mid version of the deck, and we don't have like Fox to bounce our Petes like we did last format. So playing 4 instead of 3, I think, is the right call this format. 4 Genie, still card draw, still evasive, still quest for 2, still 4 willpower, still an absolute threat in the format. And then 3 Bells. Well, moving that damage from Lawrence, being able to slam Lawrence or Cobra into something and then play a Bell on the next turn or two and move the 3 damage you just took to something else just feels like broken. I mean, it truly feels broken. Or even like a Genie at that point. So like they play Elsa, tap down your Genie, swing into it. Now you both have 2. Well, then you can go play Bell, move your 2 to the Elsa. Now Elsa has 4, you have 0, and then Genie can take out the Elsa, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore all of a sudden. So lots of different uses there with Bell in the deck. I really like Bell in the current format as well. And then lastly, rounding out the characters, 4 Elsas, speaking of the princess, or queen, if you will, speaking of the queen, 3 Tinkerbells. Not only do we have the Tinkerbell shift, we do. She's a good answer for aggressive decks, especially as a turn 4 shift, being able to then shift her on 4, challenge into something, do 2 more damage to something else. She can swing the tide in an aggressive matchup very effectively. Does Big Elsa stay? It's hard to say in a deck like this, right? Like other decks, yes, I think she's worth it. We're at 13 uninkables too, so getting rid of her would be 12. If I got rid of her, I'd probably put a 4th Bell in. 4th Bell, maybe 4th Tinkerbell. But I do want to just test her out in the early goings of the format. Again, she's by far the biggest flex card in the deck. If we look at everything else, the next ones would be Happy. Happy and Elsa are the biggest flex cards so far. We got 4 strengths and then 4 dwarven minds. Yeah, just throwing Lilo up on screen so those who are unfamiliar can just read her quick, giving everything Challenger +2 the turn she's played. And then the other ability needing aliens, which we're not playing, so it's irrelevant to this deck. Elsa and Happy, those are by far the 4 biggest flex spots in this deck. And then outside of that, I'd really have to just, I'm not sure. I really like a lot of these decks I put together. Again, not saying that means they won't change, not saying that means they're perfected. It does not. It means that I think they're great starting points to test out and change as needed per your local metas. What would I play instead of them? I said 4th Tinkerbell, 4th Bell. I mean, you could even go like a 4th Lawrence or just other 1-drops potentially. The 1/2 Mickey with resist 1 is a decent option, especially with Lilo, because then he becomes a 3/2 with resist 1. Sound kind of familiar at all, Calhoun? Maybe. So like you could go Mickey, Calhoun, Lilo, and all of a sudden you have a 3/2 resist 1, a 5/2 resist 1 who gets you lore for challenging, and then Lilo on board. And I guess if you really wanted, you could play this Stitch, the 3/4 4-cost card who gets you a draw and a lore when challenging and or banishing a character in a challenge. That is definitely another potential option that you could go for. But I do think if you were expecting a lot of aggressive decks in your local, or even a lot of slow decks, or even a mixture of the two, that Purple Seal really is is the do-it-all deck of the format. It's kind of like the Ruby Amethyst, if you will, where it kind of just has the toolbox for everything, and you just build it accordingly. So whether that means, you know, Lawrence could potentially come out, but Lawrence pairs up with Belle so nicely at the same time. I was going to say Tinkerbell could come out, but then you have the shift Tinkerbell that just feels too strong not to. So I'd say if I took anything out, Elsa would be the first card, Happy would be the next, and then the Dwarven Mine would be the next chopping block card. But you can play Dwarven Mine without Happy. I've said that before. You don't play Happy without Mine, but you can play Mine without Happy. But yeah, overall, let me know what you guys think. Where do you think this deck falls? I personally think that it's going to be a tier 1 deck. I don't think it's necessarily a tier 1 contender. I think that it's locked in. I think, so I guess that's kind of confusing. By not a contender, I mean it's not on the edge of is it not. It's 100%. I think this is a tier 1 deck of the format, along with Amber Steel, Blurple, and then there's a few decks that are going to fight for that 4th, possibly 5th tier 1 spot. And being like blue green, purple green, and possibly another dark horse. But I think there's a lot of openness in the format. But if you guys like this, I have a lot of other videos on the channel. If you want to just check out decks, Dreamborn link is down below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, like, share, subscribe. Check out that little survey if you want to spend 5 minutes doing something not productive at all and see the results on it come next week. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, take care.